So I'm just letting everybody know that the webinar will be starting shortly. We're just waiting for a few more sign-in attendees. Okay, so I'm checking that everybody can hear me. Perfect. Ross, can we hear you as well? Are you on the call?
Yep. Hi, can you hear me?
Perfect. So we know that Dan is signing in. We're just updating him to present it. But in the meantime, Ross, do you want to introduce yourself and who you are?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. My name's Russ Avery. I am a marketer who specialises in the sustainability sector, but I'm also helping clients with personal branding and LinkedIn training at the moment, which is why I'm on the webinar today. Really excited to answer any questions that people have and yeah, get everyone up and running with a strong personal brand on LinkedIn that can help you stand out proud and yeah, find your dream job, hopefully.
Okay, then we've also got Claire and Rosie from Outsource. So Claire is our D&I lead for Outsource, and the reasons for these webinars is to focus at getting people back into work, helping people either return to a workforce or helping people who are looking to find their next opportunity and sort of find their way or make sure they're noticed and sort of stand out in the crowd of plenty of job seekers. We're waiting for Dan, but in the meantime, I'll give some background as to who we are. So Outsource, this is just a bit of the background to Outsource whilst we're waiting for Dan. So Outsource have been going for 27 years. We've got 80 consultants within our business, and we've got 5 branches all across the UK in London, Swindon, which is our head office, Manchester, Stoke and Birmingham. We do have specialist market sectors as well. So as being a technology and change business, we've got specialist teams within cyber, within logistics, within public sector, defence, engineering, financial services and technology and change. And the reason for the webinar today, and the reason we've invited the experts and Dan and Russ to come on, is so that they can talk to you about what we need to be doing to raise our profile on LinkedIn. So Russ, I will let you start first with how to create your LinkedIn profile.
Okay, great, thanks. So we need to start with the basics. So setting up your LinkedIn profile and making sure it's as complete as possible is your #1 job that you guys should all be aiming for to complete on LinkedIn. So how do we have an optimized profile? So let's start from the top. So you need a really nice, clear, professional headshot that makes you look, represents you how you want to appear to potential employers and connections who might, you never know who someone's going to be. So you want to be presented in the best possible light. So you need a nice, clear shot of yourself that's well lit. Ideally avoid sunglasses and headwear and that kind of thing if possible, so that you can see your whole face. Make sure the crop is quite close. So what happens is across LinkedIn, your face will appear next to any comment that you write on someone else's post or next to a post that you've published, whether it's in a group or on someone's feed. So you want to be able to see your face nice and close up. So don't have a full body shot or anything. Make sure it's a nice, tightly cropped headshot. Moving on from there, you'll obviously have your name, and then the next thing that appears to your name in your headshot is what's called your headline. Now, by default, your headline will be pulled in from your current job. So if you don't change your headline and edit it yourself, it will just say, Russ Avery, marketing director at, and then company name, for example. Whereas you can actually edit your headline to make it far more compelling. So you've got a certain character, I think it's 120 characters from memory, that you can use to write a really compelling headline that attracts the right kind of people that you're looking to connect with. So you really want to make it compelling, and a really good way to do that is to start with I am, or I help. So I am currently looking for a job in XYZ. So in my case, I help people to build brands. I can't remember what my headline is. I haven't got it up right now. But my point is, you can edit that to whatever you want within that character limit, and make it really eye-catching. Tell people who you are. If it's just your default that's pulled in from your current position, you will not be standing out from the thousands of other, whatever it is, marketing directors or job seekers out there. So put something really eye-catching, really compelling, that tells people why they should check out your profile. So think of your headline as your kind of 15-second elevator pitch to attract someone's attention. Below that, you've got your summary. So this is your kind of longer elevator pitch that's, say, 2 to 3 minutes. So you've got about 1,300 characters, I think, to write a really good, strong summary that goes beyond, what you would just say in your standard CV. So you've got your standard CV that you might have to send someone when you're applying for a job, which you're sending as, a PDF or whatever. Don't just do the same thing in your LinkedIn summary. Use that to make it much more personal. Talk about yourself. This is a personal preference thing, but you'll see people talk about themselves in the third person sometime. So they'll write their summary like, Russ Avery is ... Personal thing, but I find that a bit impersonal. So I'd say opt for talking about yourself in the first person. So go for I am, not Russ Avery is, etc. So yeah, fill out your summary. I would recommend that you use all the available character limit that there is there, so that you're getting in as much information as LinkedIn is letting you. You want to make it keyword rich with the kind of words that you want to be found for. So in my summary, I've got keywords like marketing, growth hacking, personal branding, etc. So that helps you appear high up in LinkedIn searches, and that might be recruitment consultants who are running searches, and the LinkedIn algorithms are powerful. They pick up key search terms from mainly your headline, but also from your summary and your bio, etc. So so fill it out as much as possible. Sorry, I think we've got Dan joining. That's why I was just hesitating. Dan, I can see your video. There you are. I can't hear you though, Dan. Okay, so sorry guys. And obviously struggling to get stuff sorted.
Yeah, just seen that. Dan, if you now click use telephone. Use telephone on the top left-hand side. It will give you a different number to dial as a presenter. It will give you a different number to dial as a presenter. Was that beat Dan dialing in?
What do you want to do, Rosie? Shall I just carry on, or?
Yeah, you carry on now.
Okay, will do. So, sorry about that, guys. So after you've completed your summary and made that as keyword rich as possible and personal, telling your story, making you stand out from the crowd. So honestly, really do keep it personal. So don't just talk in a really kind of corporate business voice. You can show off your personality. That is what personal branding is all about. The clue's obviously in the name, but get across who you are as a person. What makes you different from the thousands of other candidates potentially that are applying for the same job as you, and honestly, recruiters will thank you for it, and you will start standing out from the crowd in their searches. Okay, so beyond your summary, this is where you get into completing your profile in terms of having all your sections as up to date as possible. So you've got your education section, you've got your employment history, and then you've got other sections as any charitable causes, any things that you volunteer to, any certificates you've got, etc. So for each one of these, as best as you can, don't just put the position. So don't just put that you went to this university between 2007 and 2012. Put what you actually did there. So, and I don't just mean your degree. Put some things that you did, extracurricular activities that you got involved with. Did you do any work while you were at the university, whether paid or voluntary? And same for your employment history. Now, for any young people on the phone who are kind of grads who are looking to get work for like the first time in their first proper job, even if you've only done work experience, summer jobs, that kind of thing, seriously, put them on your CV. You've got to get all that information up there. LinkedIn will thank you for it by bumping you up search rankings. And if you've got what they call an all-star profile, which is when your profile is what they deem to be fully complete, you'll also appear higher up the search rankings. And the way to do that is by filling out each section of your profile as comprehensively as possible. So please feel free to look at mine or Dan's profile as examples, and you'll see exactly what I mean. I haven't just listed my previous positions for each one. I've put what I did when I was there, what my remit was, what some of the results of my work were, etc., etc. And to take it one step further, you can add what's called rich media. So attached to each section, and you can do this on your summary as well, by the way, you can add PDFs, video links, slide shares from SlideShare, which is a LinkedIn-owned presentation software. And before you know it, you'll have an all-star profile that doesn't need any more completing because it's been added to. To throw in some absolute gold dust, if you can get a recommendation from a fellow LinkedIn connection, so a previous boss or a previous colleague, then get them to write a short recommendation for you, which is essentially your version of a client testimonial for your personal brand. So definitely ask people for a recommendation, and obviously more than not, people are more than happy to oblige, and then you'll start building up a collection of great recommendations on your profile. And honestly, do ask people, no matter what the position was, because if you've only got a bit of work experience on your profile anyway, then there's still nothing stopping you from filling out your profile as much as possible. So yeah, that's everyone's first job, I'd say. It's seriously, everything on LinkedIn starts with having a really complete, optimized profile, because you're trying to be found. There is no point having a strong personal brand if you don't want to be found by the right kind of people, which I guess for many people on this call, in your case, it will be recruitment consultants and potential employees. And you will make yourself stand out from the hundreds, maybe thousands of other candidates that are out there going for the same roles as you.
And what about things like LinkedIn groups?
Okay, LinkedIn groups, good one.
Are they worth commenting?
Yeah, so LinkedIn groups used to be really active, and in the last year to 18 months, they've been dying a death. So yeah, good question to bring that up, because I would say still join the groups that are relevant to you. So by the way, to do that, you just use the search field at the top of LinkedIn, and results will come up by default, but you can actually choose to search for groups as opposed to people. So search for any groups that interest you. So in my case, that might be, any groups about marketing, social media, growth hacking, personal branding, and join them anyway. Because even though the groups themselves are quite dead in terms of the engagement that you get from them, LinkedIn works by 3 degrees of separation when it comes to what contacts you can find and what connections you can make. And if you're in the same group as somebody, then they'll appear in some of your search terms, whereas they won't if you're not in the same group as them. So what I'm saying there is you've got more chance of connecting with the right kind of people and finding other interesting people to reach out to and make a connection if you're in the same group as them. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing some searches on LinkedIn, find a bunch of relevant groups, choose the ones that have got the most number of people in them and the highest engagement levels, and just join them. There is a limit. I can't remember what the number is at the moment, but it's quite high. You can join quite a few groups before you've reached your limit, and then just unfollow some if you've reached your limit and they weren't doing anything for you. But in terms of groups themselves and the engagement you get, the reason they died is because they basically just became a kind of advertising shop for marketers, basically, from companies to promote their own stuff, and people got bored and there was no dialogue happening on there. So it's actually all about the just publishing posts in the LinkedIn home feed now is where it's at. So hopefully that answers the group's question.
And what about in terms of the content that you are sharing?
Okay, great. So
what should sharing?
Yeah, so this is a great question. So this is what people ask. So you've got to be, if you put the effort into LinkedIn, like with a lot of social media channels, but with LinkedIn in particular, I would say I promise you will get results back that are tenfold to the effort you put in. I can't stress that enough. And I'm saying that from personal experience. So since I've been on LinkedIn since about 2012 or so, I think. But since January this year, so only in the last 5 months, I really ramped up my efforts on LinkedIn to to engage more with the connections that I did have, and to keep newer connections, to make new connections with relevant people. So not just building up a huge network of connections just to have the number next to my name, but to build up a great network of connections that I actually engage with. So, and when I say you need to put the effort in, you need to be posting, at least, 3-4 times a week. And people ask me, what should I be posting? I just don't know what I should be writing about. And the simple, yet potentially difficult answer is, and I'll talk about that in a sec, but the simple answer is write about what you know. So we all know things. We are all essentially experts in our field in one way or another. And by that I mean, yes, you might not be an expert in terms of the number of years in an industry on your CV, but everyone is interested in things. Everyone on this call has their own interests. Everyone hopefully knows, where they want to be and some of the things they want to achieve. This is a completely separate note, but if you don't have any personal and professional goals, I would strongly recommend writing them down, because this is something I've learned in the last couple of years. You kind of know roughly what you want to achieve maybe in your head, but it's only by writing down your goals that they really come to life, and you'll start to achieve them. So what should you write about? You should be writing about things that interest you. You should be writing about where you want to be. Share personal experiences. So in the last kind of 2 years, LinkedIn has got so much more personal. And that's why the platform has just taken off significantly, because it's not just boring businesses sharing their status updates anymore. Follow the right kind of people, and soon enough your home feed will be filled with people sharing personal stories of struggles as well as successes. In fact, I'd say when people are vulnerable and transparent, it's those posts that get shared and liked the most. It's when people are being really honest and saying, actually, I haven't got a great success to share with you today. I've got a struggle. I've been having a really difficult week, but it's what I've learned. And then, write a few bullet points around that. And those posts do incredibly well. So for job seekers, in addition to posting your own posts, comment and engage with other people's posts of people in your industry who are influencers to you. So whether you're looking to get into HR, follow some big HR names, marketing, follow some high profile marketers. Start engaging with their posts by liking, sharing, and most importantly, commenting on their posts, because it's commenting that will really get your name and your brand out there. Liking and sharing, really, you're just promoting that person's bit of content, which is great because it shows that you're engaging. But yeah, write your thoughts on there. And don't worry if you think, I don't know enough about this topic to be able to comment. That's honestly, you've got to get over that fear, because everyone on LinkedIn has started somewhere. And there are complete kind of nobodies, in inverted commas, on LinkedIn who have now got, tens of thousands of followers just from publishing their own content. And I know some of these people who are still, they still don't know definitely what they want to do in life. They're maybe not at the found, but the point they've now built up an incredibly strong personal brand and following that they've almost become kind of LinkedIn celebrities, if you like, and they're actually getting, paid gigs through LinkedIn, through speaking slots, and through ghostwriting for other people. So honestly, I can't stress enough how amazing it is and how much things start happening just when you start engaging with the platform. And in terms of what type of posts to be publishing, so there's everything from pure text-based posts where you are just writing a status update, words, and then you can publish photos to go with your text update. But what's really taking off now, what you'll start seeing more and more in your home feed when you scroll through, if you're following those kinds of people, is video. So you'll see lots of people at the lower budget end doing kind of selfie videos where they're just literally holding their smartphone up and doing a quick video like that, or the kind of higher production value ones where people have taken it to the next level and they've either got their smartphone on a tripod with good light, which is an amazing tip, by the way, for anyone who wants to kind of jump straight ahead and start doing LinkedIn video. Because of the age we live in and the fact that we've got amazing smartphones that can shoot in high definition, all you actually need to make a video look professionally shot is to make sure that your face is well lit and that your phone is still, so on a small tripod or something. And then there was absolutely no way someone would be able to tell that the video wasn't shot professionally with like a proper camcorder or a DSLR. Nick, I've just seen a question pop up. That's good. Do you have any examples of LinkedIn celebrities you could mention for reference, please? Yes, I do. If it's okay, Claire, Rosie, shall I pull together a list? Because I could drop some names on the call, but I'm happy to pull together a list of people that can maybe be disseminated somehow afterwards.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Send that out in slide notes. Yeah, there are a couple that you
Okay, brilliant. So
maybe know of.
So for anyone interested in the future of digital transformation, for example, and who's really into tech, there's a great guy called Simon Chan. So Simon Chan, CHAN. So check him out. He is publishing content daily and is amassing tens of thousands of followers purely through publishing his content. There's a guy.
So when you say publishing content, are they creating their own content, or are they sharing other people's content?
So he does. You've got to do both, but first and foremost, I'm talking about publishing your own content. But that's why I said that you've got to start engaging with other people's content as well, because then you're getting your name out there in different ways, and there's less effort involved. So if you guys wanted, for anyone on this webinar, if you wanted to start off, slowly, which is the way to go, and get used to it, then maybe look to publish, one of your own posts like once or twice a week, and then on the other days that week, engage with other people's content, so commenting on, liking, sharing, etc., on other posts people publish, and that's a good way to go. And then slowly increase the frequency with which you're publishing your own content, and before you know it, you'll have found your feet, you'll have found your kind of your tone of voice. And yeah, sorry.
Am I coming through now? I just wanted to see if I can actually speak.
Hey Dan, yes, I can hear you.
You are Dan.
Hey, good morning, afternoon. Apologies for the long delay.
So Dan, I've been doing a lot of talking. So if you want to chip in, we're talking about how to kind of start getting your name out there through publishing content. So we've gone through creating a complete profile and getting an all-star profile set up, and now we're talking about the types of content to publish. So I've covered a bit, but if you want to maybe chip in on how people can get started, if they're currently not using LinkedIn at all or only doing the basics, that might be good.
Yeah, sure. No, I did catch a lot of what you said. I think you've highlighted some of the key points. So start with your profile. Like you say, build an A-star profile, make sure every section's filled in, have a clear professional headshot, which again you can do on your phone really easily, have a nice little background picture going on. And again, I think the key message I always try and portray with your profile is think about your customer. So if you're trying to get a job, your customer is the employer or the recruiter. So think about what they would like to see, make it engaging to them. It's not just about creating a digital version of your CV, but creating something that takes people through a journey and ultimately, makes them want to speak to you, whether it's to invite you for an interview or talk to you over the phone or whatever it may be. Always have a thought about your ideal recruiter or the companies you're trying to get employment from, and then build your profile around that. Does that come through okay? I want to make sure everyone can still hear me.
Perfect.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It went really silent then. I was really worried I got disconnected.
What is the
can I
question?
just talk a little bit about content, just quickly? Oh, go on, sorry.
No, yes, you carry on. That's fine. Carry on talking about content, yeah.
That's fine. It's only a quick point, only because I know that's what Russ was just talking about in terms of the different forms of posting and sharing. A really great place to start, and Russ was really spot on with this, 1 or 2 posts a week of your own created content, but to really strip away the fear or pressure around that, because content creation can sound quite daunting. And I, a couple of years ago, had never created content before, and my first few blogs weren't fantastic. But as Russ said, you've got to start somewhere. It could be really simple things, so it could just be, you're out and about and something makes you think. So for me, for example, I very much sit in the sales industry. So for people working in sales, that's where I position my personal brand. I did a post at the weekend. I took my 2 kids out for the day. I hadn't seen them a lot in the week, so I had a picture of me and my son driving this tiny little boat in Portsmouth, and I posted that picture. So I uploaded the picture and then wrote a little bit of a story, a bit of a status, highlighting that some weeks I don't get to see my kids as much, but where I balance that out is to spend time at the weekends with them. And again, told an engaging story, start, middle, and end as such. And what that allows people to do, as Russ rightly said, people connect with the stories. So for you as a job hunter, it could be talking about your experience looking for work, talking about some of the roles you've applied, different methods that you're trying to engage a job. There was a great guy in America who did a social campaign, #HireCoca, and his name was Coca Sexton, and he utilized social media heavily by posting regularly, creating some video content, some statuses, some blogs, all with that hashtag, and engaging people to help connect him with, companies that were recruiting, and, kept people on that journey. So there are some really simple ways. It doesn't have to be as daunting as writing a blog or even a video. Creating a video is really quite scary when you start doing it. So it could just be posting a photo or just posting a status. My key tip would be just make it engaging. Try and tell a story.
Yeah, well said, Dan. To give everyone on the call another example, so the posts that I publish that do the best in terms of engagement levels. So I've recently set up my own business. So I'm only 6 weeks into my journey as my own boss and setting up my business. And I've been sharing posts about what I've been learning. So I've learned so much in the last 3 months since I kind of handed in my notice at my last job to set up my business. And I've been sharing posts about what I've learned so far as a freelancer, and here's my typical day so far as working for myself. And I just brutally honest and tell the story, and I often put an element of humor into it, and I don't have to try very hard because funny things seem to happen to me, so that's useful. And those posts just get really great engagement. So people love the transparency, they love the honesty, and if you can embrace that, I promise you'll start seeing results in terms of getting your name out there and engagement.
I think that's vital now, and particularly with job hunters, is to bring your personality into everything that you do, and bring your whole self to work, is the phrase that we keep throwing around.
I've just seen
question: can you post too much?
Yeah, I think I've just seen that question from Claire. That's a really interesting question. Can you post too much? Is it possible to become an annoyance to your followers? What's your take on that, Dan?
Yeah, so I post quite high quantity of content, but there is a balance. 100% is a balance. There is definitely too much, and there's definitely not enough. I think in the sort of 2 years I've been pretty heavy on LinkedIn. I tend to post usually at least once a day, occasionally twice a day, and I'll usually cap it at that. But I would build up to it. So when I started, I maybe did 2 or 3 posts a week, and then you sort of boost up to 4 to 5, and then 1 a day, 2. So you just build it up over time. But do be aware of where it gets too much. Don't post one thing and then post something else 10 minutes later. Try and because it can be quite, you want to drive engagement. You're kind of sometimes fueled by trying to get things that, really hit a tone. So yes, 100% there can be too much. I'd certainly recommend, if you're new to it, just 2 or 3 posts a week is more than enough, and then engage the rest of the time. So have a presence every day, show up every day, be on there every day and like and engage with other people's content, and then if you can, put your own voice out there a few times a week, I think that's a good balance. I don't know if you agree, Russ.
Yeah, I think that's exactly spot on. So if you don't have time to post, just make sure you're there, like Dan says, and engage with other people's posts, which takes obviously far less time, because that's when you can just, like, share, or comment on something someone else has already written. So definitely agree.
There's 2 more questions, but I think I'm quite echoey.
Are there key
times to post?
Yeah, are there key times to post is a good one, and I've had so LinkedIn being a professional network, I would say, Dan, definitely chip in after this, but I would say in my experience, I certainly see higher engagement in the working week, so Monday to Friday. At my last job, where I was posting from a company page, we seem to get far more engagement on, a Tuesday, for example. But don't take that as an answer. I'm just giving you an example of how it's different, whether you're, there are 3 factors that are going to come to play here. There's the sector in the industry that you're in, probably. There's your geography, where you're based, and there's the type of content you're publishing in terms of like who else is like looking for it. So use the data available to you, whereby you can check back. You could check back your historic posts over the course of whether it's a week or a month. The longer the time, the better the data you'll have. And if you've logged when and on which days and what times of day you posted that content, and then you track the engagement on it, which you can see, by the way. So you'll be able to see your statistics. So you can see post analytics, and it will show you number of likes, number of comments, and it will also show you which companies saw your posts and stuff. If you're tracking that data, you could then work out if you could identify any trends in terms of times to post for max engagement. But it's not going to be that black and white, because always remember that one of your posts might have just done really well, even if you published it at more of an unusual time, because actually that was just the better post in terms of the actual content. I'll let Dan chip in now.
No, I'd totally back you. Sometimes it can just be right place, right time with content. There's not always a set time that does it better than others. I think I agree. LinkedIn's like a working office. So use the. I'm not sure I've got an echo, by the way.
You have got an echo. I think I'm the same.
Sorry, that's really frustrating. That's really annoying.
It's stopped now. The echo's stopped now, though.
That's really weird. Okay, it seems to come and go. Okay, well, while it's not there, I'll keep talking. So yes, we've got the working week. I have found that occasionally, either a little bit earlier, so you're sort of 7:30 to 9 o'clock time frame in the morning, and equally in the evening, it's starting to get a boost, where I think a lot of people are starting to use LinkedIn out of work as well, as people build more of a personal brand and certainly use it more personally. I have started to see a small spike. So I think, yes, key times definitely within the day, especially if you're trying to get a job, you're trying to get the attention of recruiters and hiring managers. Their attention is going to very much be in the core day. I'd probably recommend going for first thing in the morning, where they're unlikely to be in interviews or on phone calls. I usually go first thing in the morning between 8 and 9. I'll do something around lunchtime. So when people are often on their lunch breaks and checking, or before they go on lunch and checking, and then usually one in the sort of 4 to 5 period of the afternoon, where again they're likely to be wrapping things up and checking emails again. So if you can tap into those times, they tend to work good. But as Russ said, trial and error, see what works, try it yourself, but equally immerse yourself in the content that other people are posting and see how they're doing. So the more people you follow, the more people you connect with, you'll be able to see when they're posting and how it's performing, but equally what they're posting. Look at how they write a status, or how they do a video or a picture. It's the best place to learn is through your own trial and error, but equally surrounding yourself with other people that are doing it and seeing what's working for them.
Awesome. Nick, to answer your question, sorry, there's a really big delay. So
I'll mute myself.
okay, so Nick DeVito asked, have you adapted your posts? Now LinkedIn seems to give you the first 2 sentences as a preview and then the option to click more. Great question, Nick. So as Nick said, in your home feed when you're scrolling down, you don't see the whole 1,300 characters that someone might have written on a status update. You'll see the first 2 or 3 lines, and then, as he said, the option to click more. And the answer is yes, Nick, absolutely. So the best analogy I can give here is one of the most famous advertisers ever, a guy called Robert Ogilvy. He said that for 80 cents of your dollar should be spent crafting your headline and the rest of the 20% on the content. And the reason for that is because whether you're writing a blog post, a newspaper article, magazine article, whatever the medium, it doesn't matter. If your headline or your title is not compelling, people are far, far less likely to go on and read the rest of the article. So this is exactly the same with what LinkedIn's done here. So I started making sure that the opening sentence or 2 to my posts were, like, you know, for lack of a better word, a little bit clickbaity in terms of making sure that people were gonna read more and engage with it. And clickbait's obviously definitely the wrong word, because that's when you lead someone into reading your article and it ends up being about something completely different. But yes, great question, Nick. Make sure that your opening sentence is intriguing and compelling and make someone go, "Oh, I wonder what the rest of this is about." I'll definitely click the option to read more. What's your take on that, Dan?
Once again, Russ, I'm 100% with you on that. It is the famous. I have a wonderful echo again. Was it gone? I think it's gone. Okay, good. So yes, it is the bait on the fishing hook as such. You know, people will choose to read something, whether it's a blog, whether it's a video, whether it's a post. That first opening sentence or 2 will be, you know, the choice as to whether they read it or don't. So yes, try and make it as engaging as you can. As Russ said, don't make it clickbaity, so don't try and mislead people or oversell yourself, but do try and, you know, again, when you read it, think about something that you would be interested in. It's like starting a story. It's the title of a book. It hasn't changed. So, you know, LinkedIn blogs were the big thing a couple of years ago. And again, the title you chose on your blog was crucial as to whether it got read. And now it's the same with posts. The first sentence or 2 will determine whether people watch. The same with a video. You know, you can put a video on, but if you don't really tell a story beforehand, again, it will affect the engagement. So if you don't have a couple of sentences that talk about what's going on in the video, it's all about trying to capture people's attention as quickly as possible. And I love the 80 cents of a dollar spent on a piece of content, the majority being on that engaging title. So yeah, definitely 100%.
When it comes to connecting with someone, great question from Claire. So I always try to write a message when requesting with someone. I think you mean when connecting with someone, but due to the character limitations, it can sometimes seem vague. And I'm also not sure they always see the message. How important is this? They do always see the message, so definitely don't worry about that. You'll get, when your connection request notification comes through, if they've added a message, you'll be able to see it. It will be there. So really good question on that, because I can give you a statistic based on a proper trial that I did. So guys, this is my advice, when you're connecting with someone and sending that connection request, always add a personal note. So LinkedIn will ask you, it will say, would you like to add a note with this connection request? And it will even say, connection requests with notes are more likely to get responded to or something. I can't remember what the actual text is, but LinkedIn itself is even advising you to do that. So I did a test. In 200 connection requests I got, 2% of people wrote a personal note with it. So, you know, what am I supposed to think with the rest of them? It's like, it's just a list of names. And unless I take the time to visit each one of their profile to see if they're kind of from my sector or there's an obvious link there as to why they might be connecting with me, they're basically just a stranger. So you're doing the LinkedIn equivalent of walking up, of going to a big event and just walking up to people and handing them your business card and then walking off without having said a word or introducing yourself or anything. So always remember that that's what you're doing if you send a connection request to someone without adding a personal note. Now, when it comes to the character limitations, yes, you've got character limitations, but you've got, I can't remember what the character limit is, but put it this way, you've got enough to write, dear Claire, I hope you don't mind me reaching out. I saw that you're one of my second degree connections, and we've got Dan as a mutual connection. I'd love to connect with you to learn more about each other. Cheers, Russ. So you've got like 5-6 lines. Again, I can't remember what the actual count is, but I've got templates that I keep. Again, if you want to save time, great tip. Write a connection note. Find out if it's one that works. Seems to get people connecting. And by the way, it's so true. People will generally, I'd say 90% of the time accept your connection request if you've written a personal note to go with it. Copy and paste that, save it in a note somewhere in your computer, and then just change the first name each time and the little bit that you've added in personal, whether it was, a mutual connection that you've got in common, obviously swap the name out, or whatever it is, just top and tail it each time. But to save you, a minute or 30 seconds each time you're doing it, if you're connecting with lots of people to build up your network, can save you hours in the long run. So just to sum up, yes, always add a personal note when you're connecting with new people, and use the character count and make it as personal as possible, and they're far more likely to accept your connection request.
Thank you.
Dan, we've got another question. Can you see the list of questions? Because maybe you could take this one.
I can't, so if you can read it out for me, I'm sort of dialed in as opposed to...
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, no worries. So it's from Sanj, and it's, do you use or have you used in the past open questions to your network? And if so, what have been the results? E.g., what are your thoughts? Anyone open to collaboration, etc.?
Yeah, so I have done, and again, I think with anything, and this goes for any form of content, whether it's a question, whether it's a post, a photo, a video, it's all about the story you tell with it. I've seen plenty of people just put questions thinking that the question itself is going to be engaging, and unfortunately, very rarely is just a question on its own engaging. But if you can tell a bit of a story around it, either put in your thoughts or an experience that is warranted or created the question, you're more likely to gauge a better response. The questions are fine, but no different to any other form of content. It's all about how you present it and the story you can sort of wrap around it to try and encourage or drive that engagement. It's certainly been my experience. How about you, Russ?
Yeah, nothing to add. Agree completely. Because anything you put, you could put at the end of that, what are your thoughts? Does anyone have it? What's your take on this? And you could even tag a few people in it. So yeah, completely agree with everything Dan just said. And yeah, another great question. Okay, should I be regularly endorsing people? No, not at all. You don't have, that's not something that you should, that's not one of your like LinkedIn prerequisites that I'd say everyone should be doing as a takeaway from this webinar. So by all means, endorse people who you've worked with in the past who, you think are worthy of your endorsement, but endorsements, honestly, they're a bit of a joke. They've become a bit of a joke. People are far more likely to pay attention to and trust recommendations because that's someone who's actually gone to the effort of writing a testimonial for you, which is incredibly powerful, rather than just clicking a plus next to your list of skills, etc. So again, when LinkedIn first released skills that you could endorse people for, they were quite a big thing, and they've dropped off massively in the last year to 18 months or so. And also what you'll get people endorsing you who you're like, oh, why has X endorsed me for Y, because I hardly know him at all. And you get people endorsing people hoping that they'll be given an endorsement back in return. So that's my take on it. Do you agree with that, Dan?
Yeah, 100%. It has become a bit of a LinkedIn joke, because the problem is people were either endorsing with the expectation of getting endorsed back, thinking that again has a positive impact. You're right, Russ. The biggest thing on your profile is your recommendations. It's as powerful as an Amazon review. You know, I rarely, if ever, will buy anything on Amazon unless I've looked at a few reviews and seen positive ones. And you know, I'm a firm believer that it's similar to a reference that you'd have with a CV. Obviously, the difference would be you'd give a CV in with the details of who could give you a reference. With LinkedIn, not only can you have everything really powerful and making a big impact on your profile, but you can actually have the references there live. You know, they don't have to phone someone or write to someone. They can actually see visible recommendations from hopefully credible people or customers of yours or previous employers or colleagues that can endorse you and recommend you as someone, again, could be worth hiring, worth working with. So yes, don't ignore the skills bit. It's there. It's a part of your profile. It's certainly good. You can choose the top 3 that you have, the first 3 that people see. Make sure they're industry relevant and that you've got a decent number on there. It's certainly not harmful to have that, but the focus should always be on trying to gather, you know, some good, strong recommendations on there, which again, recruiters and employers will be able to see, or at least you can direct them to. And it's just that's the real stamp of approval there, I think.
There's a good question from Sanj come through. Shall we all link to each other and then we can give constructive feedback to one another?
Yeah, I was going to... yeah.
Definitely. I think wherever... Oh, go on. Sorry, Russ.
No, Dan, you go for it. There's a huge delay. Don't worry. You crack on.
Yes, so I think wherever you can get a community, when it could be just the people on this webinar, whatever it is, if you can find groups that you can connect with and support each other, definitely. It could be a few tips on your profile. It could be a few tips on a post you write or a video you do or a blog you write. Wherever you can build a community that, you know, you can help each other. I fully think that's a great idea to help as you all go through similar journeys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, Dan. And I was going to say, like, at the end of the webinar, like, feel free, like anyone on this, feel free to send me a connection request. And obviously you can trial out my tip earlier, which is adding a note. So just say, you know, hey Russ, it's Nick. I was just on the Outsource webinar or whatever it might be, so that I know who you are. And yeah, feel free to send me a request. And yeah, happy to provide any quick tips and advice or answer any further questions you might have.
Are there any more questions from the other attendees? And then I'll probably ask Russ and Dan to give your probably top 3 tips for LinkedIn that you think are most important. So I think we just got a few more questions coming in. In terms of the phone participants as well, if there's anybody on the phone, I think we can hear you now if you do want to ask a question, if you want to unmute yourself. Nope, nothing else has come through. So do you want to give us your top 3 tips?
Well, it's yeah, it's a great question. Yeah, Dan, you go for it. I know what you've done there.
Yeah, okay. So my top 3 would be focus on your profile. Number 1, it's the ground foundations that are crucial to any social success. So make sure it's the first thing you do. Invest in time. Make sure you've got a great photo background. Everything's filled in. It's orientated towards whoever you're hoping to win with it. So if it is to get a job, think about your employer or, you know, recruiter, whatever it may be. Build the perfect profile. You need that foundations first. Tip number 2 is to create your own content if you want to build a personal brand, if you want to be seen or recognized. And it doesn't mean you have to have hundreds of thousands of followers or anything like that, but just within key people, key employers, key companies you want to work at. You need to have a presence, and you build that by creating content. Again, it doesn't have to be a novel. It can just be short, sweet, but powerful, insightful content that shows people that you've got something to offer them. Could be knowledge, expertise, passion, drive. Think of all the things that a recruiter is going to be looking for, and use or find ways through content to portray that. And tip number 3 is consistency. You know, if you really want to make it work, you need to have a presence consistently, show up, you know, on a regular basis. If you dip in and out, you know, it will be harder and it will take longer to build a personal brand. But if you can show up on a regular basis, people start to get used to you. They'll start to talk about you more, engage with you more, and, you know, step by step, that's how you build a brand. So yeah, those are my 3 top tips.
Okay, so the reason Dan went first there is because he's stolen the 3 best ones, so that was always going to happen. So,
sorry.
That's all right, mate. So to add to that, so I'd agree with all of Dan's, obviously, and I'd add one that I've learned a lot recently. So it's get over your fear, okay? So get over your fear of whatever it might be. So get over your fear of, oh, I'm not going to post about this because I don't feel like I know enough about it, or oh, I'm not going to reach out to that person because they're senior, so they'll never accept my connection request. Whatever it is, like seriously, overcome your fear and just go for it. Like follow the top tips and the advice that we've given you, but get over your fear of reaching out to someone, publishing a piece of content about something for fear of, you know, what people might say. And by the way, I've got, you know, now that I've got a strong personal brand and a good following on LinkedIn, I still publish the odd post that gets hardly any engagement compared to my average post. You've just got to like forget about it and have a thick skin and move on, and just remember that it's just, you know, a one-off. So overcoming fear is a great tip, I would say. And to throw another tip in, I'd say remember to always treat LinkedIn like you're meeting the people in person. So don't do anything different than you would if you were meeting that person in person. So don't just send a blanket connection request out. Always make sure to attach the personal note, as I mentioned earlier. And it's, you know, if you start acting like that across LinkedIn and other social media channels, and don't just, you know, hide behind the fact that you're at your computer and online, just, you know, be social, you know, use the social part of social media. And yeah, you'll start seeing results and you'll go far.
Well, a great story of the power of LinkedIn was for both of you, Dan and Russ. You were both recommended to my LinkedIn post when I'd posted saying, does anybody know anything about LinkedIn personal branding? And both of your 2 names were recommended. So you've both obviously got a great personal branding on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's a great example, Rosie. Well done. Like, so yeah, you're right. That's exactly how I found out about this. My one of my ex-colleagues tagged me in your post, and it all went from there. And so, like, guys, just remember that is all it can take. Sometimes it can be the smallest thing, and it could turn into a fantastic opportunity, whether that's a job, an interview, or, you know, for the case of me and Dan, a speaking slot on today's webinar.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Thank you for both of your time. And thank you to all of our attendees for coming in and asking some great questions. We will send an email.
Thank you, everyone. It's been good.
Thanks very much, guys.
I will ask you both for your LinkedIn celebrities to send out as well as follow-up notes to all the attendees.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
All right. Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Good luck. Yeah.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.